Welcome at that time once again, the Patriot Radio News Hour, and I'm Joe Jaquin, CEO of the Patriot Trading Group, working on decade number 3, one of the longest-running financial shows in the world. Who knows? Maybe the longest. I don't know. I ran out of fingers and toes, so I don't know what else to say. The physical delivery of wealth insurance. Do you have it? Because you're going to need it. 800-951-0592. The website at allamericangold.com. We got a lot of things to talk about today. The world has gone completely nuts. It is May Day. Happy May the 1st. A lot of the markets are closed today. Of course, we are not. But it doesn't mean things aren't happening. I thought yesterday we saw the bottom in gold. Wrong about that. Gold is down again today. We've got a Federal Reserve meeting. The Dow is getting taken to the woodshed. And I've been telling you. This isn't deflation, and it's not inflation. Stagflation is what is here. They don't know it yet. Okay, but they're starting to catch on. We got all kinds of data points coming out today, from construction to home builders. We had manufacturing numbers out as well. We had car sales out for the month of April. And I'll give you 3 guesses what happened. None of it was good, especially if you're a consumer here in America. Really not good. Gas prices jumped in Phoenix 5 cents overnight again. I hate looking, $2.86 now at the local place right here down the street for a gallon of gasoline. But the big news of the day came out of the St. Louis Federal Reserve. Nobody's going to talk about it. You're not going to hear about it anywhere else. Remember what I've told you. Okay? I told you about stagflation, and I'm right. But I also told you the end of the dollar is near. It's a lot closer than you think it is. The debt bubble, we just set a record borrowing for the first quarter. And you go back to the heights of the financial crisis, go back to when we were fighting the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, and the government ran $1.4 trillion deficits. We borrowed even more than that in the first quarter of this year. And it's all unpayable. But that's been the plan. But I've been telling you, it's the electronic currency that's coming. The Federal Reserve has denied it. They've said that, we're just researching blockchain and this and that. The St. Louis Federal Reserve today adding clarity to what I already knew. They're working on it, because they know what's coming next. We're going to share all of that with you in the next segment, exactly what it is that the Federal Reserve has been doing, and it's so important to what you need to do next. Because if whatever you have in the system, by the time this comes to fruition, will now be at the full control of the central bankers. The exact opposite of what our founding fathers wanted for this great nation. Also today, we're going to talk about what the home builders had to say about how expensive it is now to build a home. 10 of the largest 20 home markets in the country are now overvalued and rising. All these similarities to all these other crashes that we've seen. We high leverage, high levels of debt, prices that make no sense and all of these things, they're all coming home to roost again. John McCain saying that now that he is going to pass, he's able to vote his conscience, that this is his last term, and he is now freer than his colleagues who will have to face the voters again. Very interesting. Another reason why I keep telling you we need term limits in this country. And if I get to it, if I don't get to that today, I promise I will get to it this week, because it really is an example of everything that is wrong in America. Gibson Guitar filed for bankruptcy. This is going to become a weekly thing. Company after company, we've got at least 20% of all the companies in the United States are going to file bankruptcy, and then between now and 2020, at least. They're zombies. They shouldn't have existed to begin with. Gibson now the latest to file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and then all you pensioners out there, Honeywell yesterday is cutting 4,700 people's retirements, and actually really their health care. They bought Allied Signal. Honeywell did. They bought Allied Signal, and now they're telling 4,700 of their pensioners from Allied Signal, hey, guess what? We're not paying anymore. And it's just, again, all of the things that are wrong here in America. But the biggest news of the day, what did the Federal Reserve say in St. Louis? 800-951-0592. The Dow's down 300 points as the Federal Reserve starts a meeting today. There is not expected to be a rate hike. This is a non-press conference meeting, but it's all the stagflation that is appearing in the numbers that has Wall Street on edge, and they haven't quite figured it out, right? The dollar's rallying. Now, a lot of that because the Asian markets are closed, a lot of the European markets are closed, but this isn't the quote-unquote great economy. The great economic recovery isn't here. But how can you say that, right? You know, look at these confidence numbers, and every time I turn on the internet, they say how great everything is. Well, let me give you some examples. Yesterday, we talked about pending home sales, right? Down 4 straight months in a row. Today, home prices jumped by the largest amount in years, maybe on record. And now over half of the nation's housing markets are overvalued. By the way, Denver makes that list, and San Francisco and a bunch of others. And if I have time, I'll get to it. Even though home sales keep falling, home builders today, the new home builders said prices are up just to build a home 5%. In other words, if the home cost us $300,000 to build last year, today it's costing us $315,000 to build. Construction spending took a nosedive in April. The biggest drop, home builders. People can't afford them. The reason for housing prices to be so high is there's no houses for, you know, like I said, $200,000 out there to buy. Car sales, man, it was a bad one. We don't even know. General Motors just stopped reporting, right? They're not even going to tell you their monthly numbers anymore. Ford and Toyota were both down almost 5%. Chrysler, if you take out fleet sales, they were down as well. Nissan was down 28%. I mean, it was bad. But none of it matters. Again, this is the noise. That's the distractor. One of the world's richest men today, he's an Egyptian. He owns he owns the telecom industry in the entire Middle East. So if you got a cell phone and you're from Iraq to Afghanistan, or not Afghanistan, but Iraq and Saudi Arabia, Dubai, Egypt. This is the guy that owns it. He is one of, like I said, he is one of the richest men in the world. He's a billionaire. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name, but he warned everybody to get ready. The stock market crashes upon us. He's the chairman of Orascom Telecom Media and Technology. He gave an interview in Cairo. He says that he sees gold surging to $1,800 an ounce, while the overvalued stock markets all around the world are going to hit the skids. Him and his brother are the richest men in Egypt. $5.7 billion is his net wealth. He says he's taking half of that and putting it into the gold market. Why? Why now? I mean, yeah, okay, the stock market's overvalued. Stock market's been overvalued before. Maybe it has to do with what is really happening. Word that the Federal Reserve was open to the prospect of launching a cryptocurrency made headlines last year. Remember, and I reported it, right? I told you about, I read it in like Computer Magazine or something, that there's the big to-do that Janet Yellen hosted that they didn't tell anybody about. But what is much likelier is that the Federal Reserve will create central bank electronic money for all. Now, I don't know what the difference between the two is, but it's the same thing, right? It's a cryptocurrency, but this one is a central bank electronic money. According to the blog at the St. Louis Federal Reserve, it will be easy to implement. The Fed would only need to allow households and firms to open accounts with it, right? And just think about how that's going to work. Hey, we need you to open an account with us. Well, I don't want to open an account with you guys. I don't want you to know what I'm up to. Well, I'll tell you what, if you don't open an account with us, you no longer can do any business whatsoever. Pretty simple. Which would allow the central bank to make payments with Fed-issued electronic money instead of commercial bank deposits. Now, what does that mean, Double? Here's what it simply means. You know, before when we talked about it, we always thought, remember the Amero and all of that, and we talked about, hey, you know, $10,000 of your old Federal Reserve notes, and we'll give you 1,000 new ones. They don't have to do that now. Instead, hey, just open your account with us, and we'll just take that 10,000. And now you've got, what are they haven't quite given it a name, central bank electronic money. Okay, now you'll have central bank electronic money, and we'll just make the payment. Right? So whatever it is, we owe Target some money, Walmart some money. If you're a firm, you owe China some money or Egypt some money. We'll handle it. And now what they'll be able to do is simply change how much things cost. Think about it. Hey, we don't have to wait for oil prices or copper prices or steel prices or lumber prices. We're just going to change the exchange rate. Oh, you use American central bank electronic credits. Well, that's too bad for you today. It says that the Fed will have you open an account, handle the payments. And they're talking about that this will diminish the use of cash. It will be a way for them to, let's face it, right? They've already told cash is crime, right? Anyone who uses cash has got to be committing illegal acts, right? It's not efficient, right? I get charged. I put, we get a lot of cash here. We do. I put it in the bank, right? I got to pay bills. The bank charges me to put money in. Right? Once you cross, and them numbers so low now, $5,000 or $10,000 in a month, they start charging you to put the cash in. All of these limit the Fed's ability to use negative interest rates as a policy option. So what does that mean? And what is the blog in the St. Louis Fed? What are they talking about? I didn't see anything in that sentence about how great the economy is. Did you? Did you hear that? No, what they're talking about is, hey, we need to get rid of cash because when we go to negative rates, people won't be able to hoard their cash in their safes or under their mattresses, right? They're trying to eliminate another store of value, right? They want to force everything into the system. A large part of the population will consider the Fed electronic money a close substitute for cash. See? And they're right. I think that part is absolutely true. It's going to get bad. Stagflation is coming everywhere you look. Our teachers haven't been in the school now coming up on a week. It'll be a week on Thursday. Right? Because 20% pay rate, that's not enough. Everybody knows it. And you know what? You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it, right? All of us want a raise. Really, and really what we really want is we really want the money that we make to already be enough. But because of the Federal Reserve, it's not. We're striking at the wrong place. We're protesting in the wrong place. Think about it. Why is there no more art or band classes? Why do you got to pay for all of your activities, right? Just think about any extracurricular activity you need to pay. Right? Everybody out there that sends their kids to school, you got to show up on the first day of school with a bunch of stuff to give to the school. From toilet paper to paper towels to copy paper. No more auto mechanics, no more shop class. Why do you think that happened? Right? And we talk about how broke these pensions are because you know what? Healthcare costs are ridiculous. How do you think it all happened? And guess what? They're not done. Most of the people will consider it a close substitute for cash. And it will make it easier to say goodbye to cash. This is how they think. And you know what? Here's the sad part. They're right. Because you know what? It's going to get so bad out there. Right? You think about what's happening in Venezuela right now. We don't talk about it a lot. But you do your own research about how much things cost there. A cup of coffee in Venezuela is like 150,000 I don't even know what the bolivars or whatever their currency is, 150,000. They're going to tell you that this electronic currency is going to be the answer. Everybody opens your account with the Federal Reserve, put all your money in there, of course, and you know when you do, where'd you get that money? Right? Where did all that money come from? Oh, I had it in my safe. I had it under my mattress. I had it here. I had it there. Did you pay taxes on that money? Whether you did or didn't, you're going to now. At the moment, only a few financial intermediaries have access to central bank electronic money. And, of course, they're talking about fintech. They're talking about SWIFT. They're talking about how, world money gets handled, payments get made globally. An alternative to cash is a given in the near future. I love how they call it it's just an alternative. Of course, if you don't use it, you can't do anything with it. According to the research at the St. Louis Federal Reserve, Alexander Bernstein, who is also the author of The Post, legislation introduced last week by Senator Kristen Gillibrand calls for 36,000 post offices around the United States to add basic banking services. Think about that. Doesn't the government own the post office? Now we're going to have banks at the post office, such as savings and checking accounts. And don't worry, we're from the government. We're here to help. We're going to give you short-term loans, too. Patriot Radio News Hour, while you're thinking about that, we'll be back with more.
This is the Phyllis Schlafly Report from Phyllis Schlafly Eagles. Mrs. Schlafly was a courageous and articulate voice for traditional values and common sense for more than 70 years. Now, continuing that legacy, here's the president of Phyllis Schlafly Eagles, Ed Martin.
During the Easter weekend, when many Americans were watching the college basketball championships, President Donald Trump kept his eye on America's southern border. It's long overdue for a president to defend our borders. Getting more dangerous, Trump tweeted on Easter Sunday before attending church with his wife Melania in Palm Beach, Florida. Caravans coming. The president was referring to the caravan of some 1,200 men, women, and children from Central America, mostly Honduras. They were spotted in southern Mexico on March 25th, heading towards the United States. A caravan is a group of migrants traveling together with all their belongings. The word originated in the Middle East centuries ago, but caravans are rarely seen in modern America. However, it's a different world south of the border, where millions of people live in primitive conditions that would have challenged our ancestors. 1,000 people don't embark on a journey of over 1,000 miles without organization and financial support. The caravan that made its way through Mexico was coordinated by a group called Pueblo Sin Fronteras, which means town without borders. The New York Times described the group as a transnational advocacy group, whose leader, Ireneo Mejica, is a Mexican-American who holds dual citizenship. There are so many things wrong with those phrases that it's difficult to know where to start. To begin with, the United States doesn't recognize dual citizenship, except in very rare cases. A person from Mexico or anywhere else who goes through the process of becoming a U.S. citizen is required to totally renounce his previous allegiances. Similarly, a transnational group isn't allowed to exist in many countries without first registering to do business or conduct its activities legally in that country. We have enough problems with the outlaw transnational group called MS-13, which has committed murders of incredible savagery, primarily in areas populated by recent immigrants from Central America. Join us tomorrow as we discuss the motivation behind this mass migration to the United States. The news may call them refugees, but the system they're pursuing seems more rigged than refuge.
This has been the Phyllis Schlafly Report from Phyllis Schlafly Eagles. Illegal immigration burdens our schools and social services and opens doors to criminals and terrorists. Outdated visa programs divert jobs from Americans. PhyllisSchlafly.com chronicles these outrageous unfair practices and provides answers. Go online to PhyllisSchlafly.com. Thanks for listening, and join us next time for the Phyllis Schlafly Report.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help."
Guess what? They're going to be helping us a whole lot more. This is out of the blog at the St. Louis Federal Reserve. talking about, and I want to make sure they didn't give it a name other than, let me get it here, central bank electronic money. And more specifically, central bank electronic money for all. Yes, we're here to help you. Because, cash is inconvenient, and, drug dealers do it, and terrorists use it. And the article actually addressed the crypto coins for you crypto guys out there. The chatter that the Fed is eventually going to issue a crypto fashioned after Bitcoin is naive. Central banks don't want to get into the business of issuing anonymous virtual currency that could be used by drug cartels and money launderers, which is kind of what it's used for now. Instead, what they're going to do, and this is why they're brilliant, they really are. When you're out to save yourself and you've brainwashed the American public, and let's face it, our elected officials, I mean, they're incredibly naive. And nobody truly understands what's really happening. I've said it all along. I've got sympathy for those teachers out there. Matter of fact, yesterday, I was watching the end of the passing league of my youngest son at his high school's football team. And I was there with 3 other dads, one of whom, not every one of you, but one of them pretty famous guy, at least in this town. And we were talking about the strike. And every one of them said, yeah, man, teachers need more money. You know what? They all followed up with it. We all need more money. But then the next words out of their mouth is, who's going to pay for it? And one of them was upset, hey, they got 20%. Why aren't they back in the classroom? And I said, because you know what? No one's come up with a way of how it's actually going to get paid for. So the teachers are like, hey, we're not going to just take your word for it, right? Someone show us that it's actually going to get funded, and then we'll go back. But think about it. Why? Why is it? And they talked about, one of the other things, hey, we're near the bottom in teacher pay, which is we're somewhere around $48,000, somewhere like that. And forgive me if that's a little too high or a little too low, but somewhere in the 40-some-odd thousand range. I remember in the early 1990s when I got promoted. I was working at the drugstore chain, got promoted, and was making $26,000 a year, and I couldn't believe how stinking rich I was. And then a couple of years after that, I was making $40,000, right? Living by myself, making all my car payments, doing this, that, the other. Today, that's nothing. You make $26,000 a year today, you're bankrupt. And they're walking out of classrooms, and you think about the fast food workers, and everybody needs more money. Why? And now, here's the real end game. The debts are unpayable. So we're going to come up with a system where we control all the payments. Every payment made is going to run through the central bank. Can you imagine what they could do with that? Hey, I want to buy gold. Nah, not today. You know what? Things are bad out there. We're going to block all gold sales, right? We're going to block all gun sales. We're going to block sales to this or that or the other. Think about how much is it going to cost? Well, don't worry, because one of the things, and it's right here in their little blog talking about the Fed will now be able to set interest rates on household accounts and use it as its main policy tool. Now, think about negative rates now. Remember, one of the reasons they want to get rid of cash and the stores of value is so they can go to negative rates. See, and the Fed already knows they're going to use negative rates. This is what you don't know. They sit there and they're talking about, they're having a meeting right now, talking about raising interest rates. They're not going to do it. They'll do it, next meeting. But you think the Federal Reserve's worried about the next meeting? They're not. They're worried about sometime in 2019 or 2020 when the rates are going to have to go the other way. They're worried about central banks not buying up the debt in time. Now imagine you've got an account at the central bank and they say, you know what? We're going to set the interest rate at negative 2%. Right? Because they like this 2% number, don't they? What do you think's going to happen? Everybody's going to be, my money's going to lose 2%. I want to spend as much of it as I can, right? And then they can say, see, now we got economic growth. That's their brilliant strategy. It's all out there for you to read yourself and really try to understand what's really happening today. And usually what's happening today is the distraction. Right? They talk about raising rent. We've got a deficit of $21 trillion. And they're already admitting, okay, the debt's going to go up another trillion, and we know they lie about that number. They already know, hey, in the next 10 years, we're going to run $3 trillion deficits every year. And that's if we're lucky. Sorry, but that's the fact. Right? You may not want to believe it, but that's what's coming. The pensions are broke. The governments are broke. Most of the consumers are broke. And now we find out, hey, guess what? We're not going to issue a Bitcoin. We're not doing that now. We're going to control, right, everybody's account. You're going to have to open up an electronic account with the central bank, and all payments are going to go through us. And guess what? We're going to set the rate on your account. We don't have to have an inflation target anymore. We don't have to even have a Fed funds rate anymore. We're just going to do it to your bank account. 800-951-0592. You better get your assets protected. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be right back. 800-951-0592, the blog out of the St. Louis Federal Reserve laying out what the next steps are going to be. And either you're prepared or you're not. Right? It really doesn't matter. Right? It doesn't. You have to decide. Either you're going to get ready or you're not. Do you think they don't put that out there? Because they just like to write pretty words, right? That's not why they do it, right? And this is where you find out what's really going to come next. Getting rid of cash, it's a foregone conclusion. It's over. The Federal Reserve note is over. Just look. If you don't believe me, just look at the bond auction. It's over. $1 trillion a year, $2 trillion, $3 trillion. Like, that's going to happen and there's no consequence? Come on. And now we understand they're going to have, hey, we don't even need to have a meeting. We're just going to change the rate on everybody's account. Could you imagine? Hey, I woke up today. Why do I have 2% less in my Federal Reserve account? Well, because they changed the rate today. The next morning you wake up and there's 3% less. Right? You better start spending that money. Yesterday we talked about silver. There's really no change there. The Silver Eagle market has dried up. Premiums are going to rise. I mean, silver's down 25 cents today, so rolls of Silver Eagles, they're $3.90 instead of $3.95. But we have, and we've got, I want to say we've got 4 and maybe even 5 bags, because this is where we're going. So I told Wendy yesterday, okay, Silver Eagles dried up. You know where they're going to go next. They're going to go to the junk bag market, and they're going to buy all that out. So we got 5 bags of U.S. half dollars. So I said, I want the best of them. What's the best one? Give me the half-dollar bag. You can buy an entire bag, which is 2,000 half dollars, for $13,000, or you can buy them in rolls of 20 for $130. So you're saving $10 a roll. For every 20, you're essentially saving 50 cents per half dollar, no matter how many you buy. You want to buy a whole bag, or you want to buy a single roll. Whole bags are $13,000. That's delivered. Individual rolls of half dollars are at $130. That puts us at about $2.13 over spot. Right now, spot silver $16.05. That works out to $18.18 on a half dollar roll. $18.18 per ounce. Every roll contains 7.15 ounces of silver. Of course, if you buy a whole bag, right, that is 715 ounces. That weighs like 56 pounds, a whole bag. So when it comes in a white bucket, like a paint bucket, that weighs 56 pounds. But jump in. These are all half dollars, and you figure, the half dollars carry the biggest premiums. And today you can buy rolls of half dollars for less than rolls of dimes and less than rolls of quarters. 800-951-0592. That is our toll-free number. Take the time and put it away. We know the plan now. Hey, we don't need to invent a cryptocurrency. We're going to take over the payment system, because that's a lot easier. And you know what? We can then just adjust, right? We can just adjust the rate on the household accounts directly. And you know what? Hey, maybe we'll use all the post offices out there as our new branches. 800-951-0592, rolls of half dollars. So we've got about 500 rolls available. And I think, and I know I thought it yesterday, but I'm going to say it again today. We're at the bottom here. I mean, silver is, just above $16 to the ounce. Gold's now down 10 at $13.09. Gold got all the way down to just above 1,300, now at 13.09. The Dow is down 300 points as all the manufacturers, the housing, the home builders, all reporting significant pricing pressure. In other words, the stagflation that I've been talking about, where the rate of your pay increase isn't anywhere close to what it is that is going to be the new cost of all the things that you need to buy out there. The Federal Reserve's in a no-win situation. They raise rates, it hurts the recovery. They don't raise rates, right? Inflation runs rampant, and so most people are saying they're going to raise rates. It's going to crush the stock market. And you know how gold, the news of rising rates, gold sells off, but the actual rate rising, what happens? Gold's been running higher. Matter of fact, gold started going up when rates started going up. 800-951-0592, rolls of half dollars at $130 a roll, full bags at $13,000 delivered. And then on the U.S. gold market, if you're looking to buy gold, U.S. $20 Liberties, $13.85 today at 800-951-0592. We got the final segment coming up. I want to talk John McCain when we get back. John McCain, I didn't know this. Apparently he wrote a book. Well, it's upcoming. The Restless Wave, he's calling it. And in it, he says that now that this is his last term, he's freer than colleagues who will face the voters again. I can speak my mind without fearing the consequences. I can vote my conscience without worry. I'm free to disregard my constituents' wishes. Well, far from that, right? I'm not going to do that. But he kind of just said that's what it is. You can vote your conscience, which leads you to believe that obviously all the other times that we voted for you, you weren't voting your conscience. And he talks about now that he doesn't have to run for re-election, he can just vote what's best for America. America. And my question to Senator McCain was, shouldn't you have been doing that all along? Right, but this is the problem with not allowing for term limits, and you get these guys up there, and essentially they don't care if it's good or bad for America. They just want the votes, right? Oh, if the public thinks these free trade agreements are a great deal because Wall Street keeps saying how great they are, well, then I guess I got to vote for it. Right? Who doesn't want to vote for trillion-dollar deficits? Because it feels good, doesn't it? I don't need to be fiscally responsible. But if you want to look at it for yourself, Senator McCain now says that he's freer to speak his mind and vote his conscience. Apparently, before he wasn't doing that. He wasn't voting for what was best for America. He was voting for what he thought would get him the most votes. And that's probably why we're in the spot we're in. Really, when you think about it, right? It makes sense. Right? What a great job, right? You make a couple $100,000 a year. You spend most of the time raising money, and you write books. And when you're done, you get these great jobs. McCain's he just stayed there the whole time. If we want to fix it, and I've been saying this from day one, we need to get term limits. Because think about, even Janet Yellen, now that she's not on the Fed, Alan Greenspan, after he left the Fed, all these people all of a sudden miraculously start singing a totally different tune the second they're no longer there. Which tune are we supposed to believe? And, of course, I think John McCain's right. I'm free now. I can vote for what's right, with my conscience or whatever, instead of before, which was I was voting for things I really didn't believe in. I was pretending. And that's what all of these people do, and they're pretending. The problem is for all of us, there's nothing pretend about it. They're coming after your money. I've told you that a million times. They've encircled all of your accounts, all of them, from your bank account to your money market to your 401k to your IRA. They've got it all ready to go. And when the time is right, when things are at their worst, they're going to take over the payment system. And then they're going to be able to charge you whatever they want. And that's why you need to have some wealth insurance. U.S. half-dollar rolls, $130 a roll, 800-951-0592. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. We'll see what tomorrow brings. Take care. Have a great rest of your day.